think I've tried to improve is every week a video for discussion and a video for an assignment. I may not be able to, they may not be able to pick up the phone or answer my emails or do anything else, but you will get a personal video about a discussion and about an assignment each week. So we're engaged. Like, you see me, I may not see you, but it's kind of personal when I do that. And the second part is, it's a little bit opposite, but it's about experience. And whenever I can, I do try to bring up like a failure or where things were challenged. Because I do believe that you learn more from your failures than your accomplishments. So in my videos, if I can bring up where I failed or where I kind of stumbled, and I'm asking for a discussion question or an assignment, I can say, outline this, and here's where, you know, something might be better detailed out. So it's not always, I think, clean, but, you know, giving those messages and then saying where you were successful and then especially where you failed, I think gives students a little bit more reality. And it also gives them, like, you're human. You're not just coming from, you know, kind of a ivory tower. And I think that helps engage them.
Well, you do a fine job. Thank you for all you do. And we have some great instructors within Vista College, but you're in the top 10%. And today you're number one.
Oh, thanks, Larry. And thanks for backing.
You betcha. And we're really grateful. Tanya, do you want to take roll, please?
Sure. If I call your name, just let me know if you're here. Amanda Hardwick. Antoine Lewis. Ashley Robinson. Beth, let's see, Cassandra McDade.
I'm here, sorry.
This is Cassandra?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia Bennett. Dan Ferentz. Well, he's not teaching this term, never mind. Dan Wersler. David Powell. Doug Bristow. Erin Etherington.
She called my name.
Jerry Gordon. Glenda Lloyd. Jenny Mark.
Hold on, I'm here. It's Jenny.
I thought Jenny was here.
Kay Porter.
I'm here.
Thank you. Lisa Banks.
Yeah, she's here. I see her.
Okay, thank you. Marcia Brown. Peggy Jones. Ryan Sharp. Sabrina Delonzo. Sandy McDonald.
I'm here.
This is Sandy.
Yes, she's here.
Okay, thank you. Trudy Thomas.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Larry.
All right, Tanya, thank you very much.
I didn't hear
Tanya's
my name, Dennis. I'm here.
I've got you,
I didn't
Dennis.
hear my name.
I only call the people that I didn't have show up already. I've got you down as being there.
Yeah, if we can see you, we don't call you.
Okay.
Some of the folks we can't see, so thanks. Tanya, anything that you need to bring up before we get started into the in-service portion?
You know, the only thing that I need to just remind a few instructors is we still need, by the end of the year, your last in-field development item. And we just have a few that we're still waiting on.
Yeah, if you haven't done it, please do. It is an accreditation requirement. They want to make sure that you are current and relevant in your field. And that's how they do it, is by making sure that you're attending a conference or even presenting or getting further education or doing something in your field to keep current and relevant. And it's not an unusual thing. So it's usually pretty easy. Just if you think it might apply and you're not sure, just send it to us and we'll take a look at it and go from there. Thank you. Okay, let's get started here. So let me get this thing going here. Sorry, just 2 seconds. All right. So I want to continue something that we've been working on for over a year now, and that is removing learning barriers and improving the look, sound, and feel of your courses and your coursework. We've come a long ways from Moodle days. Those of you who were here, I believe you would agree with that statement. We've come a long ways from where we were. Is that true, Carson? Kimberly? You think we've come a long ways?
Most definitely. A big improvement. Yes.
Anybody that has been here would agree. In fact, come so far that when it comes to an online learning model, it is cutting edge. It's leading edge. It's about as good as you can get with the way technology is today. And you helped us to get there. What we're going to talk about today is show you a little bit about the evidence that we're starting to get now, as well as talk a little bit about what you can do to improve the look, sound, and feel of your courses to remove learning barriers. And that's the key. All of what we've done has resulted in Vista College Online improving retention to where it's #1 in Vista. I've told you that. We continue to be there, which is amazing for an online school. But more importantly, we are starting to see where we're going to be able to graduate a lot more students, and that's what it's all about. So today, again, I want to just go a little bit deeper on look, sound, and feel of courses. So here's what we're learning. Now, you're looking at an assessment, a summary assessment of an MIBC course, and we're starting to tell whether or not students are remembering, understanding, and being able to apply what they're learning. And actually, we're collecting enough data to where a couple of these assessments are now considered reliable because there's been enough folks take it. And so that's the good news. And you can see in this case at MIBC, you can see that, remember, we're trying to get 66% or more, 2 out of 3 of the concepts and being able to use it. We'd like to see around 70. So what we're seeing is when they get it, and we're doing fine. If they don't quite understand it, it's hanging in about the 60% area. And the application is almost the same, saying something is a barrier, if you will. When it comes to defining, you can see that that's actually quite low. That's an area, an opportunity for improvement. So what the data is starting to tell us is that it's starting to give us clues, signals, directional paths to be able to improve the student experience and to be able to improve learning, establishing a baseline. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is feel in the course. Tell me what an online course should feel like. Let's just get a couple of single statements, thoughts, and I'll just pull. Kay, what should an online course feel like to you from your perspective? Any thoughts? Kay?
I think Kay Porter. I think an online class should be engaging, so it should grab the student's attention.
Feel engaging. Great. Thank you. Krista, what do you think? You there, Krista? How about Jill? What should an online course?
Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were talking. I'm sorry. I'm here.
Okay. What should an online course feel like?
I will agree. It should be engaging. The students should feel like they're not just a number, that they can speak to you about, not just about things that are going on with class, but, you know, sometimes things that are going on with their life that is preventing them from maybe turning their assignments in on time, things like that.
Okay, thank you. Jill, what do you think it should feel like?
Welcoming.
Welcoming, I like that. Feel like, welcoming. Who controls the feel of a class? Who actually controls that? Any thoughts about that, Kathy?
For the most part, the instructor, but also whoever developed the course. So if students have difficulty navigating, or, you know, they're confused about the setup, then that's part of it too. So a combination.
Thank you. Thank you. Angela, what do you think a course should feel like? What are your thoughts, Angela?
Are you asking me still?
No, Angela. Can you hear me, Angela? No, probably not. Keith, how about you? What should the course be? Keith?
I kind of took it to the technical perspective from a feel. So with the GUI, the user interface should feel easy, so that I can find things and navigate the course, and I'm not struggling to I guess fight the setup of the course. So to me, feels not only the material, but how easily I can find the material and manipulate the course kind of structure.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. So some great descriptors, some great things. Back to Kathy's statement, who controls that? And to piggyback off of what Keith just said, it would be the instructor as well as the developers, right? And so we need to continually close the loop by feeding back to each other and to the developers our thoughts. You know, if it feels awkward, if it feels weird. It's really hard when you get 50 different people's definition about feel and that it's hard. But if you hear enough of it, if there's the old 20 that equals the 80, you're hearing enough of it, then we need to do something about that. The good news is we are very willing to do something about that where we can. Kimberly, Carson will change things on a fly if it's something more than just one person's opinion. I know that may sound harsh, but sometimes we get some of you will say this is the way it ought to be, which is maybe not necessarily where the majority of us think it ought to be. And so that said, as you deliver your courses, I want you to think about the feel, and if something feels awkward, feels weird, doesn't feel right, that's where you send an email to Kimberly and Carson, myself, and let's see if we can't do something about it. Because the good news about what we have is we can usually fix things in about a matter of minutes if something's off kilter. With the digital world, it's so cool because you can just click a button and it's there. But this feel between teacher and student. How does the student feel? How does the teacher feel? Any comments about that? Any thoughts?
I agree. I think the students need to feel connected. And what they're learning? Is this, something that they will be able to use in their future career? And, how do they relate to the specifics?
Ooh, that's really good. We got to capture that in the sense, feel connected to what they're learning. That's a great statement. Who was that said that? Was that you, Anita? Who was that just said that?
Yes, sorry.
I love that. That's a really good thought.
Thank you.
And can you do that in an online environment? Do you have the ability to deal with the feelings in your course? I hope so. I see, I was looking at, I think it was the Career Strategies course, and I can't remember who it was, but they were putting some videos in with the discussion questions and really setting up the student in a good way. And I've seen others, it's not just that there. I mean, I've seen other people just take the time to supplement, to salt and pepper the content with things that help the feel of the class, particularly the discussion question. And I'm grateful for that. It's important that you think about, how does my course feel? It's a really important point. One of the big barriers that we talked about over a year ago is that of words. You'll recall, if I use words that I don't understand, it frustrates me. The research is clear that some people will say, well, what is that? But many people won't say anything for fear of looking stupid in front of the classmates. And others will just be frustrated and drop. If we, this whole barrier of words, I think when we go back to this one, the defining, I think that's a real issue with our students understanding. I think it has to do with words. And if you want to improve the feel of your class, define the words, clear the words. Don't just assume they get it. In your discussion posts or your announcements, try to define the word as best you can. That helps to remove a big barrier. And the feel of a class is oftentimes centered on your words, how you connect, how positive you come across. So number one barrier, think about that. So let's take, what should an excellent class sound like, course sound like? Joe, what do you think? Give me a word. What should it sound like?
Sound, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that you want a course, I've been thinking about feelings, so I was thinking feeling comfortable. I think you want it to sound conversational, would be the word that comes to mind, that you want that sort of course level interaction to be natural, conversational, and something that they can jump into at any point.
Love that. And that's a bit of a challenge in an online world, maybe. But if you're in if you're in the discussion board, you can do it with words, but words you got to think about, because they may not get that either, So this whole idea of conversational, that's so true. In a physical classroom, it's easy to have a conversation. In an online, it is too. It's just you got to type it out, right? And be careful with your words. So let's. How about Anita? What do you think an excellent course should sound like?
Well, I agree that it should be conversational, and because we're online, it does make it difficult to do that. But I think just confirming what students have written, in their discussions when talking to them over the phone, just get a feel as to their level of understanding. Is everything okay? And try to answer any concerns that they may have, so that they know that we're there for them. I think it is important, even more so with being online.
Yeah, and I noticed you said when you talk to them,
Right, over the phone.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you know we're trying to do some Zoom sessions and some phone sessions to try to build that connection in a little different way. And I know it's been a bit frustrating trying to get everybody together with a Zoom call. You know what? We don't really care if it's Zoom, although that's a good experience, can be, especially if you've got to define some terms and apply the concept. When you get them on, the main thing is to get them on the phone and let them hear the sound of your voice. That actually helps to connect, right? And so, yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for that. Christy, what do you think a great course ought to sound like?
Wow, that is a good question. A course should sound like the instructor cares about their students. I mean, that's really hard for me to really put into words. Just, sound caring, sound welcoming. Sometimes online courses can be so intimidating to some students who have not taken these classes online before. So just a sound of calmness. Calmness.
Sound calm, huh? And I was thinking about what you said. Can you give me an example of what good sounds like in the online? Yeah.
Of what calm sounds like?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you still asking me the question?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So envision a little.
So an example would be, so I'm teaching a coding course. Some students have not been exposed to coding, and it can be very intimidating. So instead of being overwhelmed by the work, me as the instructor, I could do a live video and just help the students be calm, tell them not to overthink, and just reach out and just, let them, like someone said before, let them hear my voice and let them hear the calmness in my voice to help them with not being so overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. The confidence building statements that you make in your discussion posts, emails, announcements, right?
Right.
Things like that kind of form a sound, don't they? Love the idea of the video sound, audio sound, that helps. And so what I'm thinking is, sounds like employment. What do you think? Where am I going with that idea? Neil, any thoughts?
You want to use the language of the industry that the students are at Vista to try to move into, to get them comfortable with the terminology and comfortable with the language and comfortable being able to have a basic conversation around what should be their expertise when they graduate.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that helps?
Yeah, I mean, I do. When I was teaching classes like real estate law and some other ones, that's like learning a new language for a lot of these folks, and they haven't had the opportunity to have day-to-day conversations and talk about easements or liens or whatever it may be. So, going back to what Kristen said earlier, I was very, or tried my best to be as upfront as I could that, there are going to be some phrases and some terms that you're going to have to learn that are almost like learning a foreign language. but just stick with it, because if you stick with it by the end of the term, you'll be amazed at how much you have learned over the last 5 weeks. So I think that gives them some reassurance that while this isn't easy, it can be done, and it allows us to be ready to be successful when we move out into a law firm or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I was thinking if you're taking like business law or criminal law or whatever, I'm thinking you start talking about torts. And
right.
For many of them, torts like a pastry, right? Or something. And so it goes back to clear the words, right? Define the words. And then if you can use that word and point to how it's going to be used when you go to work somewhere, that really helps the learning experience, right? And it helps the sound of the course and the feel of the course. And so maybe if you can show a video that has a sound, or whatever, anything you can think of. The idea is really as we work within our courses, all of us should be saying, hey, this is why and how you're going to use what we're teaching in the workplace. Even if it's general ed. I mean, like we don't teach humanities, but a lot of students really wonder why you teach humanities. Well, you can make a case that, to understand diversity, you might want to have some experience with humanities. If you think about it, there's always something you can do to relate the words they're learning to where they want to go and why they need to be exposed to it. So anything we can do that way is going to help the sound of the course. A barrier, and it was someone said connecting it, natural connection. I think it was to what they are learning. That's really, really important on the sound thing. Is if you're not connecting what you're presenting to what they're going to use it for, or how they can use it in the workplace, that's a major barrier. And so I want you to think about that and use this little model. What's my course look like, sound like, and feel like? And then who controls that? Well, Kathy's right. I know some of it's developer, but I will tell you, you've got enough latitude to salt and pepper all of your courses with things. You control a good part of it as well. And so anything we can do to reduce the barrier to connect and apply makes the course sound and feel good. So let's talk a little bit about look. What does a great course look like? How about James? I'll pick on you next.
Well, I tell you what, when you said what does this course look like, think about the system we use now versus the previous system.
Yeah.
This one has so many more bells and whistles, and it engages the students so much more than the previous system did. And because of that, with the look of it, it draws them in.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them more engaged and more motivated.
So, Jim, we've got this powerful system to make them engaged and all of that, and it looks good, but I get in and I don't understand my words. The teacher's talking over me. I don't feel. You see, it isn't just the technology. In fact, it's not the technology. It's how we use the technology to cause learning to occur. And so, but it's that mixture, if you will, of look, sound, and feel. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah. I remember the old KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, sweetheart. It's been said other ways, but keep it simple, sweetheart. And it still works today.
Yep, it sure does. So, Mark, what should a great course look like?
I think a lot of it's going to be the same words we use, inviting, a good environment for them. I try to interject to a lot of videos and current articles. I deal in criminal law, and some of the rulings we have are from the 60s and 70s, and it might not pertain to a current. So I try to interject current events. So it's got to look current and fresh, I think, and something that they're going to use in their job today, not some ruling that happened 20, 30 years ago. So it's got to, have some currency to it.
Current and relevant. Love that. Got to look current and relevant. And we've gotten a lot better, but we still have ways to go. It's really important that you, again, salt and pepper the courses with current articles, current story. Tell them to go out and read something about X and why it applies to the course. You can do all that. And there's nothing holding you back from doing that. I want you to consider that. Meredith, what do you think a good course should look like? Any thoughts, Meredith? Oh, maybe she can't hear me. I'm not sure. Amy, your thoughts?
I think it should look user-friendly, and it should be able to relate to real life. I have a lot of my students, there'll be a discussion question that says, give me an example of your experience with interpersonal communication. And nobody will post. And so I'm assuming they're not sure what interpersonal means. So I'll go in there and post something that explains, hey, this is something you do every day. It's your relationship with other people at work, at school, in your career. And then it's like, oh, the bell comes on, the light comes on, and then everybody starts posting, and they have tons of examples. So I think it's got to relate to their real life. And like you said earlier, they've got to understand the words that we're using.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I see this look, sound, and feel thing is really dovetailing, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You see that, and you're so right. Again, as you work with students and you find out that Larry's put in the course interpersonal, say, hey, they don't understand what that word means, and you can help to clarify it as an instructor, but more specifically, reach out and say, can we do something about defining this word interpersonal, or maybe change the question to be more on their level, or whatever it takes to remove that learning barrier. We should all be doing together, because all of us have the same goal. Graduate, student gets the job. Student success is I got the job. Student success, when you're looking at a class, they need to say to themselves, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, piece of cake.
Right.
But if this is how a class looks to the student, see what I'm looking at, all these books? What do you think the student thinks if that's how it looks?
Overwhelming and undoable.
Yeah, so the whole idea is you want to make that course look like I can, right? The whole idea is to work with and if it looks like I can, and constantly hammer down on where they're going to use what they're using and defining the words. It's amazing what will happen in attendance. So this I can is related to the third barrier, too much too fast. And this is something we struggle. We do struggle. How much to give? You as faculty members, I practice we got all this reading, all this whatever. Don't expect them to do everything, but there's the 20 that equals the 80, right? You've heard that old Pareto principle. You need to pull out of the module the 20% that's a must know, so they can pass the assessments or pass the class, or highlight in your relating to employment the 20 that equals the 80 that they're going to use in the workplace, because they're just probably not going to use everything, but there's certain things, 100% that equals 80, that they will use. So this barrier, too much, too fast, is a real barrier and something we have to be concerned with. It especially becomes a problem if they don't understand the word. It especially becomes if they don't see how it relates to getting it. So, we want to think about words. We want to think about how it relates to the job. And we want to do what we can.
Oh, God. Hey, y'all.
Short. Somebody's got.
I can't stand y'all.
Hey, somebody's got a mic on. Please turn it off. I wish I could figure out who it is. I'm sorry.
That's how it was going to be. It was like a whole week and it'd be at a 34. I know, right?
Please, everybody mute. There we go. Okay. I hope you can still hear me. Can you still hear me, Becky? Yeah, okay, good. So this barrier, too much, too fast, again, you are the secret sauce. I've said it before. You are the one that can pull out the concepts that matter so that it's not too much, too fast. And especially in 5-week courses, it's really important that you highlight what they really need to know to get the job. Does that make sense to you, Keith? You can turn my mic.
Yeah, it does. I mean, got to draw out. I mean, again, I do a lot of project management stuff, so it's really focused on what are you going to do for as a project manager. Put yourself in those shoes. Okay, if you had to make this decision, how would you make it? Right. A lot of the other stuff is application and learn, but for a project manager, are you willing to make a decision and deal with the consequences and risks that deal with it? So yeah, we've got to bring them to you're willing to make decisions and deal with, what you have as far as a project plan or risks and things.
Right. Okay, thank you. So to conclude, I wanted to spend some time today just saying you're in charge of your course. Just saying it's up to you to help to remove those 3 barriers. Too much, too fast. I don't see how it relates to employment, so I don't want to learn it. You can fix that. The words especially, that's the #1 barrier. And if you spend some time thinking about removing and working on the look, sound, and feel of your course, you're going to help the school and the student to graduate from the school and get a job. And that's what we're doing. We've been spending a lot of time this year on providing personal support, and the program directors and you do through Dropout Detective, through your communications. We have harped on constructive confidence building feedback. They're more likely to graduate if we do that promptly, if we have some frequent contact with the faculty through the discussion questions, if you're there, in other words. We've been harping on that. And those 3 areas are really what matter if we want to graduate more students. And we do want to graduate more students. We've worked hard to improve the whole learning model to the point that it's really quite good. And again, it's good because of you. So my message today is pay attention to look, sound, and feel. You are in control. And if something is funky, just let us know, because we got the technology where we can continually improve, and that's what we do every day, is try to make it better for our students. I can't thank you enough for being here today. I wanted Dr. Waller to give the parting comments, but he's having trouble with his microphone. So on behalf of Dr. Waller, our campus director, we wish you happy holidays, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.